Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finance with Alex. I'm your host, Alex. Today, I will be discussing the topic of renting versus buying, but for the US market. So let's get into it. So, what are the actual pros of renting in the US? Well, currently, according to data from Redfin and Zillow, which are very big property websites in the US, it's actually cheaper to rent than buying given the high interest rates. Data shows that to own a mortgage would cost you around $2,700 for a home with around just over $410,000, whilst rent on average would cost you around just below $2,000, 1,979 to be exact. Rents also increased a lot on average by 30% since the pandemic, which is what the data shows us. In San Francisco, for example, you could rent for just $3,000, whilst the mortgage could set you back anywhere between just over $8,000 per month, which is a sizable amount. Also, when you rent, as we mentioned in my previous episode, you're not actually responsible for any repairs. You could actually move cities quite easily, and mortgages tend to be fixed for a very long time. At least in the US, it's for 30 years. What are the actual cons for renting? Well, as mentioned before, you do not own the property, hence you don't build any equity stake. As we mentioned, rents can increase by significant margin, whilst mortgages tend to be fixed for a long period of time. You do not actually get any tax benefits if you're renting in the US, whilst mortgages are actually tax deductible, and you don't have any stability because obviously the landlord can increase your rent, or they'll say basically, oh, you have to move out, or if you want to move cities because of rising rents, that's also quite common. Also, landlords tend to have more rights in the US compared to other places, albeit there's regional differences depending on a state-by-state basis and local regulation. So what about buying a property? What are the actual pros? Well, the main one is probably everybody will realize it by now, is you own your home and you get to build an equity stake in the property, and as the property value increases, the value of your investments actually increase. You can actually do any renovation you want to do that make you fit your lifestyle. You are fixed to a geographical location for a long period of time. Average homeowners tend to stay in their houses for an average of 13 years. And actually, as we mentioned before, you can actually take advantage of tax benefits. Any US citizen that has owned a home for 2 years or more can take advantage also of the long-term capital gains tax. So what about cons? What are the cons of buying a property in the US? Well, the first one is the significant costs associated with buying a property. In the US, they can run anywhere between 3 to 4% on the purchase price. That means that for a home that costs, let's say, half a million, you could pay anywhere between 15 to $20,000 in fees. Also, there is the down payment, which could easily be between 10 to 20% of the value of the property, which is also a very sizable amount. And finally, mortgages in the US, as we mentioned before, most people tend to fix them for 30 years plus. It gives them a lot of stability, but also the other downside is of buying a property, upkeep tends to be very expensive, which most people don't realize because now you don't have a landlord and you have to pay for everything. So, oh, your fence broke, you have to fix it. There's something wrong with the garage, you have to fix it. There's nobody else you can go unless you want to pay somebody else like a handyman. So, I hope you like this episode, and if you have any comments, what do you prefer in the US? Do you buy or rent? What do you think are the pros and cons in your opinion? And feel free to like this episode. And if you have any opinions about what we should discuss in our next few episodes, let me know, and hopefully we can accommodate it. Thank you very much.